Meditation means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It's funny, I've been planning to make this video for a long time and talking about it on my channel. And one of the first comments that I got regarding this idea of, hey, should I make a foundations of meditation video was, I'm all for it, but what kind of meditation are you talking about? And it's true, right? There are infinite different varieties of meditation. My perspective is that having a conversation about which type of meditation, especially a conversation around like which type of meditation is better or most effective or something, is sort of like asking, is a hammer better than a saw or better than a handheld drill or something? The fact of the matter is you're not trying to become, cast your vote for the hierarchy of which tool is better. You're trying to become a mechanic, right? You're trying to become a carpenter. You're not trying to become a hammer specialist. And so when I think about this idea of meditation, and especially the foundations of meditation, in my mind, it all kind of comes back to the same sort of thing, right? Meditation is present awareness, right? Meditation is the capacity to control your mind, to have your mind act in a way that you want, right? Get what you want out of your own brain. Some people might even argue further than that, to get what you want out of your own life by calming yourself, finding the ability to become focused, intentional in the way that you really want to be intentional. And so that's what I'm kind of hoping to deliver you in this video, right? Is to give you the tools that you need to start developing these skills and ultimately figure out, do you like the hammer or the saw more? Which one makes the most sense for you to use on a regular basis? Because that's what you're probably shooting for. You're probably shooting for a shift in your schedule, a shift in your habits, and really finding yourself able to consistently meditate, whatever that means for you, whether it ends up being Vipassana meditation or transcendental meditation or even astral projection kinds of meditation, some really, out of body focused stuff. In my opinion, it all starts at the same place. So I'll start by giving you some background about me. I grew up in a house where my mom is a quote unquote spiritual teacher, I guess you could say. She's a pastor, but she's a pastor in a church that really prioritizes more emotion, character building, relationship, problem solving, effective communication, these kinds of things. And so I was encouraged, right, to practice a lot of this stuff from a very young age. So I guess that's sort of where it started and how I got a bit of a leg up. It wasn't until the middle of my college experience, shall we say, maybe 2017, 2018, that meditation became something that was more than just a practice that felt good to do once in a while, right? I'd gone to a lot of, I guess you could call them like retreat experiences, like these one-day sort of workshop things. Again, mostly because my mom encouraged me to go or signed me up for it. But it wasn't until 2018 that it became more of a practice that actually created a long-term change rather than something that was a one and done, that I did one time and it felt good, right? Which it absolutely can be. And I highly recommend that if you've never actually meditated, if you've never actually experienced an inner shift from meditating, start there, right? Listen to a YouTube video, go to a one-day meditation workshop, see if somebody in your area is giving a lecture and they are a meditation-focused teacher of some kind. They will probably lead a guided meditation, and it will give you that sense of like, can I experience this sort of instantaneous shift, which I absolutely think that you can. I think that it's like cold showers, working out, and meditating are the three things that changes your vibe almost instantaneously. But most of us want to meditate because we're looking for a longer term shift. We're looking for a much deeper shift in our character, in our habits, in our thought patterns. And so that's probably part of what guided you to this video, I would imagine. So I think that we have to understand first and foremost is what you want. I know that a lot of meditative practitioners would probably disagree with that. They'd be like, what are you talking about? You don't have to want anything. You can just practice, try it, and experience the change, which you absolutely can. But I don't find that you're going to experience as much of a long-term shift unless you create a real dedication for yourself. And that starts with why, right? So what I recommend is first and foremost, start to kind of take account of how you're feeling. On a regular basis, do you find yourself consistently drained, depressed, angry, burnt out, right? And then are you gravitating towards meditation because you believe that you can change, right? Well, maybe you should start by defining what that change really looks like. Who is this person that you want to become? I talked about this a little bit in my last video. Becoming intentional with the character that you're trying to develop is pretty much key to creating any type of long-term change in life. And I think when it comes to a practice like meditation, starting with the why will ultimately lead you to being more consistent than otherwise you might have been. So there's no real right answer here, right? I would just start by writing down who you are right now, right? What are you experiencing on a regular basis, especially when it comes to the disempowerment? And then map out those goals. How do you want to feel, right? What does empowerment look like? What does the confident version of yourself look like? The fulfilled version of yourself, objectively. What's different, right? What's different in the way that you feel, the way that you think, the way that you act? And then your external experience. How is that any different? If you map these things out, it becomes much more tangible, and the practice becomes something that is much more rooted in an outcome, right? Rather than just doing something because you were told that it might be effective because you kind of created this idealism from something that you saw on the internet. It's just like fitness, right? We are all led to desire from looking at other people and their results. But when it actually comes to putting in the practice to generate some of those results for ourselves, comparison is not an effective motivator. That's not something that's actually going to lead you to show up consistently. So what I'm inviting you to do is really sit down, take the time, write this stuff out, map out who it is that I want to become, right? What is not working for me in my life right now, and what actual changes would I want to see, assuming that I was going to consistently, that I was going to commit myself to a consistent meditative practice. Once you've done that, or if you're not willing or interested in doing that, the introductory practice to meditation is damn near the same for anything that you are going to set out to do, right? All of it requires creating a state, and that state is a relaxed, intentionally blank state, right? Some people will say it's like meditation is about not thinking. Again, everybody's going to define. If you ask 10 different people, they're all going to give you 10 different answers on what meditation is. And so I wouldn't take any of these ideals too seriously, right? When someone's like, well, were you thinking during your meditation? Well, then you weren't thinking, right? Were you experiencing trauma or pain or fear during your meditation? Well, then you weren't really meditating, right? All this stuff is narratives from people that have created an idealism because they're not, in my opinion, they're not actually really committed to some kind of outcome. And again, I'm sure plenty of spiritual teachers would freak out hearing me say that dogmas are not really beneficial, but they're not. That's the fact of the matter, right? It's not benefiting you to try to find perfection before you even begin. So the way you begin is by creating a state, by exercising the practice of state creation. Now, again, I define the state as a relaxed state, a more or less thoughtless state, one that I can generate whatever it is that I desire to think or feel. But that takes practice, and that might not be your definition, and that might not be the definition that you end up landing on once you become a master. And I hope that you eventually, can give me yours. But to create a state, you start by finding within your environment safety. So it can be a spot within your house. A lot of people recommend that you have sort of an exclusive, a designated spot within your house to meditate. Maybe. I can see how that could work long-term in terms of psychological association of environments with thoughts and feelings. But the bottom line is you want to be comfortable, you want to be relaxed, and you want to start to prepare yourself for meditation. So you can sit, you can stand, you can lie down. I personally lie down. It's really hard for me to sit up straight. I'm not even sitting up straight right now. I'm leaning over, talking to y'all, serious and whatnot. But you have to find yourself in a place that you're safe, right, and comfortable. So once you do that, the first step is always, in my opinion, to regulate the breath, predominantly using the diaphragm. So I always guide my clients by saying gently in through the nose, filling your diaphragm, and then when you're ready, when you reach that natural apex, exhale through your mouth, right? And you really use that diaphragm as the air driving motion, spot, position, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And so you're going to just find this kind of rhythmic breath that is easy to maintain. It's not forced, right? It's not like you're trying to remember some kind of pattern. A lot of people recommend like the box method or these other kinds of breathing methods, but I tend to find that any kind of meditation, especially at first, is going to demand some degree of structure, which is going to demand some degree of mental effort while you are in a state that should be more or less free of mental effort, right? And so I don't always recommend that people try to complicate things too much. I think that, rhythmic breathing can be great if you're just focused on the breathing. But once you have to move on to sort of releasing from tension or blanking your mind or returning to a particular scenario, which is a lot of what sort of meditative shadow work is, finding an emotional balance and then going back to traumatic experiences, but from a clean slate emotionally. It can be really hard to do all this shit when you're like trying to remember how many seconds do I breathe in, how many seconds do I hold. It's a good place to start, but I recommend just trying to find relaxation within your breath. So breathing in through your nose at whatever pace you need, finding that natural apex, not holding on to it. As soon as you hit that natural apex, exhale through your mouth. And then you just kind of keep that cycle going. Gently in, filling your lungs, gently out. Now, as you do this, you're going to find that your parasympathetic nervous system really relaxes a lot, right? You'll find yourself more and more relaxed. You'll find yourself naturally letting go of tension and tightness within your muscles or various areas of your body. And that's when you can really begin to do something different. Now, this is where I recommend that most people just kind of focus on that part, right? First and foremost, if you're not consistently meditating, if you don't do this stuff on a regular basis, just get yourself to breathe. Just get yourself to relax. Just get yourself to be present. Because after that, all kinds of, in my opinion, most mainstream meditation practices are built from there, right? Vipassana meditation, very, very common practice, is just the practice of breathing and returning your thoughts to the breath, right? So Vipassana teachers will say, as you're breathing, what you do is you essentially say to yourself in your mind, I am breathing in, I am breathing out. And that's all you do. You just continue to bring yourself back to that present awareness of breath. I am breathing in and I am breathing out, right? I am breathing in and I am breathing out. You have an extraneous thought. You think about your ex and how they never took a shower. You think about your friend's car and how it's a noisy car, and every time he drives into your neighborhood, it's, you're like so embarrassed. Every time you have a thought, you just acknowledge that thought and then you bring it back to the breath, right? I am breathing in, I am breathing out. They say that you also kind of acknowledge the thought of like, where did it come from? This is something that I am thinking about. It is simply a thought, and then I let it go. But again, all of these kinds of practices come with time. Transcendental meditation is another type of meditation that is also very similar. It begins with that relaxed practice, right? It begins by focusing on the breath. And then essentially from what I understand transcendental meditation to be, you're essentially pushing your mind outside of your body, right? You are finding a greater awareness beyond just your own thoughts. But again, there's infinite kinds of meditation. There's chant meditations. There are like hypnosis meditations, listening meditations. But all of this stuff really begins with that practice of sitting down, breathing, and getting relaxed. So I figured at this point, this is where I would kind of guide you through a practice. We're going to shift to another location and jump into something a little bit more actionable. Check this out. Okay, so I figured one of the first most effective steps that I could do for you at this point would be to actually guide you through this basic meditative practice. So like I said, this is very foundational stuff that I'm guiding you through at first. I just wanted you to have an actual practice so this makes sense, so you can actually apply this stuff. So you can save this video. I'm also gonna make this particular meditation that we're about to do its own thing, so you don't have to dig back through this video and then
I'll have a bunch of links below this video as well for more introductory level practices, but without further ado, just get comfortable and let's jump in. The following is a very simple meditative practice that you can use to get started with meditation as a practice in general. There really is no right or wrong way to do any of this, but from my experience, just beginning with actively calming yourself, with starting to become familiar with calm intentions within meditative practice, this is valuable skill no matter what you're trying to learn. So first things first, all you have to do is get comfortable. You can be seated, you can be standing, you can be lying down. Just begin to find yourself in a comfortable position, and then I'm going to invite you to practice breathing. For our breath, we are going to breathe gently in through our nose, filling our diaphragm, and exhaling through our mouths when we're ready. Now, just like getting comfortable, just like setting your intentions, you're welcome to do anything you want here. Any pace of breath is fine. Gently breathing in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, breathing out through your mouth. As long as you'd like to breathe in, and as long as you'd like to breathe out. Find your natural, comfortable pace. And set your intention on your breath. Find yourself present. And see if you can naturally, gently, without force, just through flow, bring yourself back to your breath. And as you continue to breathe gently in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, out through your mouth, you'll notice throughout this meditation that I continue to bring you back to your breath, almost like a hypnosis, over and over, back to your breath. I just want you to continue to breathe gently in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and then out through your mouth. Whatever pace you'd like. Now, as you continue to breathe, I'd like to invite you into the blackness of your mind. Find yourself present inside your own head. This is a space where you can begin to be intentional. Just by relaxing and bringing yourself into this space, you can begin to find clarity and answers you would not have otherwise been able to find. In this moment, as you continue to breathe, I'd like you to bring yourself back to a point in the recent past when you felt frustration or disempowerment. As you continue to breathe deeply in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and out through your mouth, I'd like you to recall this event where you could have felt sad, frustrated, angry, resentful. The goal here is to continue to breathe, to stay relaxed and calm, to stay present with your body right now, where it is entirely in your control. And as you continue to breathe, thinking back to this moment, begin to find yourself back in that blackness of your mind. Can you separate yourself now from the moment of the past? Can you allow yourself now to see the way that you should have acted, would have behaved differently, would have not experienced that disempowerment? Can you allow that experience to gently float to the surface anew, with a new intention, your new direction? As you continue to breathe deeply in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, out through your mouth, separating yourself now from the experience, redefining your state of empowerment in relation to the experience. Just continuing to breathe deeply in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, breathing out through your mouth. Find yourself in that emptiness, the space between your temples, the blackness, the space of infinite potential. And as you remain totally relaxed, we'll finish with one more practice, the practice of body scan. So far, we've practiced conscious relaxation, entering the state, finding ourselves in the imaginal realm, in our mind, where we can project any experience, conduct any feeling within ourselves intentionally. Now we are going to practice connecting those two. And so as you continue to breathe deeply in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and exhaling through your mouth, I'd like you to begin to become aware of your body. Notice your awareness move from the blackness of your mind back into your physical body. Become aware of your feet. Experience your attention in your feet. As you continue to breathe, imagine that you are inhaling positive energy. Experience this positive, clean energy moving through your lungs as it moves through your chest and dissipates out into your body. And as you continue to breathe, imagine this cool, calming, positive energy beginning to flow through your body in a rhythmic pattern with your breath. Now return your attention back to your feet. Notice this energy in your feet as it exists in your toes, and it flows from your toes to the balls of your feet, and from the tips of your feet and your toes through your feet to your heels, And as you experience this energy in your heels, notice it moving up through your ankles. Noticing as it moves up into your calves, up into your knees, past your kneecaps, into the muscles of your upper leg, your quads, your hamstrings, up through your hips to your glutes, past your stomach, your abdomen, noticing the energy move through your lower spine up into your upper back, through your heart, your shoulders, your chest, experiencing the energy filling up your rib cage, becoming one with your breath as it flows gently in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and out through your mouth as you continue to breathe deeply in and out, as the energy flows through you, through your shoulders and your upper arms, through your elbows, flowing through your forearms and your wrists and your hands. And as you continue to breathe deeply in, filling your diaphragm and exhaling, notice the energy move through your fingertips, through each of your fingers, back through your hands and your arms, back to your shoulders and your chest and your upper back. Noticing the energy move through your neck as it moves up into your jaw, into your tongue, into the muscles in your face. And as you continue to breathe, notice your awareness shift back into the blackness of your mind. And as you once again become present of the emptiness, of your imagination, of the infinite potential, become aware of the practice that you have just undergone. You can use the imaginal space to create any kind of visual activity you want, from shadow work to physiological preparation for experiences, to imaginal recitation, to experiencing conversation that you would not otherwise be able to experience. You've also experienced connecting that to the body. Now, next time you go through a body scan meditation, imagine that every part of your body that you cross over is experiencing deep relaxation. This is another practice that you can very easily get out of a simple knowledge of body scan meditation. Now, as you continue to breathe, remember this practice, and remember that you can return to this practice anytime you want. So as you continue to breathe, give yourself gratitude for showing up here now, for taking the time to commit to this practice now. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes, find that breath, and return.
All right, so hopefully you're starting to understand where we're going with this kind of basic practice. Pretty much all these meditations are going to start the exact same way, right? You're relaxing, you're feeling into your body, you're getting present with the way that you feel, and then you're starting to set intentions from that new state of balance, of peace, of calm. There's really, like I said, infinite ways that you can go with this. And I've had this feeling multiple times in making this video that there's gonna be pushback. There's gonna be people that are like, this isn't actually the way that you do this particular meditation. This is not the way that you begin this particular meditation. Again, this is just a tool, right? This is just the act of becoming familiar with the tools even. It's not even a tool in and of itself, really. And so you have to learn these other kinds of practices, but where you start is by getting consistent with this. And I'm going to talk about consistency next, but I really want you, in watching this video, in trying to understand this concept, to understand that all of this stuff really does begin the same way. And you do have to kind of get familiar with it and build a degree of skill before you can move on and really experience change at your character level by actionably doing specific meditations. I'll touch on specific meditations real quick. I have a bunch on my channel. I will make more. As you guys know, this channel is super experimental even now, and so I want, for those of you that are interested in this stuff, that find this valuable, let me know. Drop a comment and tell me that you actually tried this, and tell me that you want the next set of stuff. I think that logically, where a person goes next, and like I said, it's consistency, and I'm going to talk about that in a second here, but logically, the next step is trying things, right? And so I'm happy to lay out a plan for you guys to do that. So, I have like I said, I have a bunch of meditations here on my channel, but I think it might be helpful to have a guided process, like specifically do this kind of meditation. I think generally everybody should kind of start with doing this kind of thing consistently and figuring out how to actionably relax, how to find intention within their mind without falling asleep, right? To be able to consistently return themselves to breath. And so if it's interesting to you guys, and this is kind of like the little Easter egg here if you made it this far, drop a comment and let me know that you would like that kind of specific guided practice for do this particular meditation for X amount of time, then maybe consider moving on to this other meditation for this amount of time. I'm happy to map that out for you guys. And I mean, that's sort of what got me consistent at first, was that I figured out, body scan meditations, and then body scan meditation made it easy for me to tap into these more transcendental type of meditations. And then from there, I moved on to astral projection meditation, which I don't know, I would say like that's the most utilitarian sort of out of body spiritual experience that you can receive from a meditation. There again, opportunity for argument, but a process is what allowed me to get to that point where I learned what I wanted, and I was able to practice things that I got more deliberate outcomes from, more actionable outcomes from, if that makes sense. I'm rambling. So that all being said, I'm happy to make that roadmap. I think that the thing that we have to cap this video with and talk about is how to build consistency. How do you show up and do this on a regular enough basis that you actually feel some kind of change? That, my friends, is what they call $1 million question, for me especially, because that's something I've always struggled with. Meditation is even harder, right? I'm going to try to tackle this from two perspectives, right? The first one is just objectively, how do you do it? How do you show up? That always comes down just to scheduling, right? If you don't put it on your calendar, you're not likely to do it. It's, from what I perceive for myself, it's kind of like a self-respect mechanism, right? I will make every excuse not to do something that I haven't intentionally set out to do with multiple mechanisms, like putting it on my calendar or putting a note on my fridge or something like that. The reason that I say meditation is particularly hard is because you don't actually do anything. Let me think about the way to sort of formulate this in a constructive thought. Meditating, and especially the first few times that you do it, right? It can be frustrating. It's like you're sitting here, you're like, I'm trying not to think, right? So I'm not gonna insert my thoughts into the situation. Every time the thought comes up, that's an excuse to be frustrated.
That's how it goes for the first few sessions, right? Or weeks, months even, where you are trying to master the monkey mind, the Hanuman, whatever it is. Most people, that's kind of their original objective with meditation, is just find calm, find clarity, and practice releasing from the thoughts. Now, it often feels, so it's like the combination of it being frustrating at first to get into, combined with it feeling like you're not actually really doing anything. It can be hard to convince your brain to do that. Now, you might not be gravitating towards doing something productive. Sure, your brain could be like, we should go post on LinkedIn, or we should go send that client proposal, or something like that, right? For most of us, it's like, yeah, I could meditate, or I could go play Fallout 4, right? I could meditate, or I could go binge watch, Jujutsu Kaisen or something, right? I could go binge watch anime, something that's more engaging, right? It's hard to convince your brain to do something that can not feel very productive, that cannot feel very engaging. And so for both of those reasons, for all of the reasons that meditation just is a great vehicle for your brain to avoid, it's going to be tough. And so I recommend that sort of intentionality of putting it on your calendar, setting out at the beginning of the day. If you have a to-do list or something, put it on there, right? It's like the same thing with exercise or journaling or any of these things. It feels great to sit there and think about the way that your life is going to change once you are a consistent meditator, once you're a meditation guru. But you're not going to get there if it's not that important to you, right? And it's really hard to convince your mind that meditation is important without first experiencing the benefits of meditating, right? So that is going to bring me to my second suggestion, which is the thing that has transformed my life in every area that I have applied it, right? Hey, cat. Say hello, cat. This is my cat, everybody. This is Anakin. She's the star. Okay, so hopefully she will not totally disturb the camera. But what was I saying? So you put it on your calendar to respect it. Once you are consistently doing that and experiencing the frustration from not meeting that expectation, the key is to simply do it. Now, how do I explain this? So like I said, I am a perpetual serial self-developer. And I think one of the best examples is what this channel has predominantly been about over the past few months to a year, which is quitting weed. I have attempted to quit smoking weed for years. Since I really started consistently smoking weed when I was 18, I kind of knew that I didn't want to do it. And yet, we continued. And in every quitting attempt, I failed to leverage the power that got me tremendous physical results in bodybuilding, that got me tremendous results in business acumen or building skills and relationships, especially, right? Really, networking is what got me any of the success that I have right now. It was to simply decide in my mind that I was no longer going to spend any mental energy on the fears, the doubts, and the indecision. There's a great YouTuber by the name of Joseph Rodriguez here on YouTube that I've really learned a lot of these kind of mental skills from, and he talks a lot about this concept of fear, doubt, and indecision, and the way that it invades your mind, right? It invades your mind and it prevents you from taking the action that is inspired. Now, when it comes to meditating, just like when it comes to working out, just like when it comes to anything that requires you to put one foot in front of the other over and over and over again in a series of repetitive actions that might not feel super productive right now, but over time pay compound interest, right? The secret for me has simply been to not entertain the thoughts. Now, this is easier said than done, but you will find that as you set the intention to not allow yourself to think negatively, not to no longer doubt that the meditation is going to be engaging, to no longer allow yourself to be pessimistic about the fact that it's boring and you don't know what you're doing and it's going to be time wasted. All of this stuff is it feels normal, it feels natural, right? But the thing is, it's sabotaging you. And I think deep down you probably already know that it's sabotaging you. And listening to me might be challenging to sort of ask the question of, how do I actually do that, right? Is it really just as easy as you're saying to let go of the negative thoughts? No, it isn't, right? It is practice, but you will find that as you continuously practice telling yourself, it doesn't matter, just do this, right? Relax, let go of this. I'm not entertaining the thought. It's more of a feeling, frankly. And you will eventually feel that feeling of sort of blankness, sort of this blank magnetism towards the action that you really want to do, this, the self-developing action that you really want to partake in. It will get easier, and you will find that it's not even a conversation. It is not it is not you actively telling yourself, right? It might be at first, but eventually it just becomes a feeling that you are gravitating towards doing something that is actually, right, much sooner than you think, going to be bringing you into flow, right? Flow is where challenge meets skill. That's another Joseph Rodriguez definition, right? And at first it is just challenge. It is just frustrating, but eventually you develop just that much ability to, tread water, at least in these environments, in like working out, like we're talking about right now, meditating. And you'll feel it. You'll feel it, right? You won't need to talk to yourself. So if that was tangible, let me know, right? So those are your steps. Use this video, use this meditation. Let me know if you would like more meditations. I have a playlist here on YouTube. Put the time in your calendar, right? Ask yourself, when would be that meditation period in my day? Some people just start with 20 minutes once a day. Some people start with like 5 minutes at the beginning, 5 minutes at the end of the day. Just get started. Put it in your calendar, set that intention, put it on your to-do list, and tell yourself, this is something that I am going to show up and try to do every single day, even if I don't feel like it, right? And then practice that internal dialogue of like, fuck it, we're meditating. Fuck it, we're working out, right? There is no additional thought. I simply am doing it. It doesn't matter how it makes me feel. It doesn't matter how I feel right now. I'm engaging, right? We'll cross the next bridge when we get there, but right now I am engaging with this desire, and I am simply magnetizing myself straight towards that activity. So hopefully this was helpful, my friends. Drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you have any questions. If you want some more personalized help with this kind of thing, you can reach out to me on my email. It's below this video, zavoy2@gmail.com. Maybe I'll get something more professional at some point, but I appreciate you being here. Hit that subscribe button, hit that little notification bell so you know when my videos come out. And without further ado, take care of yourselves, practice this stuff, and I'll see you on the other side.